Captain Maya Rodriguez fidgeted with her ceremonial uniform's collar as she waited outside the Galactic Council's titanium alloy doors. After centuries of space exploration, humanity had finally achieved the faster-than-light breakthrough that earned them a seat among the star's elder races. She expected discussions about Earth's technological achievements, trade agreements, and cultural exchange programs. The doors parted with a soft hum, revealing a vast circular chamber. Crystalline displays floated between towering pillars, each showing representatives from thousands of civilizations. Maya noted their diverse forms, some gaseous, others crystalline, many humanoid, but all watching her with what she interpreted as diplomatic interest. Captain Rodriguez, the High Speaker's translator, echoed, their tentacled form shifting colors in what humans had learned was a formal greeting pattern. We have reviewed Earth's biological database as part of standard admission protocols. There is a matter of grave concern. Maya's heart sank. Had they found something wrong with human DNA? Some dangerous disease? She maintained her diplomatic posture, hands clasped behind her back. We're happy to address any concerns, High Speaker. The floating displays shifted, and Maya expected to see human genetic sequences. Instead, the chamber filled with high-definition footage of Earth's oceans. A great white shark glided through azure waters, its movements precise and purposeful. The chamber erupted in chaos. Several representatives physically recoiled from their platforms. A crystalline being vibrated so intensely they nearly shattered. Impossible. A silicon-based counselor graded out. They cannot still exist. Maya blinked in confusion. I don't understand. That's just a shark, one of Earth's marine predators. They've existed on our world for over 400 million years. The chamber fell silent. A four-armed historian floated forward, their eyes wide with what Maya recognized as fear. 400 million years. Through all your planet's extinction events, they survived. Yes, Maya replied carefully. They're extremely well-adapted predators. We have many species of them. Actually, is there something wrong? The High Speaker's colors shifted to deep ultraviolet, a sign of extreme distress. Captain, what your people call sharks are not just predators. They are perfect predators. The only naturally evolved perfect predators still existing in the known galaxy. The historian activated a different display, showing similar creatures from ancient times on other worlds. Every advanced civilization had such hunters in their oceans once. Every single one engineered them out of existence during their evolution. Yet humanity. They paused, mandibles clicking. You not only preserve them but study them. Protect them. Maya felt a chill despite her temperature-regulated uniform. The Council wasn't afraid of humanity. They were terrified of Earth's sharks. But why? She had grown up watching shark documentaries, fascinated by their power and grace. Yes, they were dangerous, but they were also vital parts of Earth's ecosystems. With respect, Maya said, choosing her words carefully, sharks are essential to our ocean's health. They're apex predators that help maintain ecological balance. We've never considered eliminating them. Balance. A gaseous being swirled agitatedly. They are living weapons, the last remnants of. The being fell silent at a gesture from the High Speaker. Captain Rodriguez, the High Speaker's translator, hummed. Your species has achieved something unprecedented. Coexistence with the galaxy's most perfectly evolved hunters. This raises concerns about Earth's admission to the Council. Maya straightened her spine. Are you suggesting we would need to eliminate our sharks to join the galactic community? Because I can tell you now, Earth would never agree to that. The chamber erupted in overlapping translator voices, but Maya stood her ground. Something wasn't right here. The Council's reaction went beyond normal fear of predators. They knew something about sharks that humanity didn't. Something that made these advanced civilizations tremble at mere footage of Earth's oceans. The High Speaker raised all four arms for silence. No, Captain. We do not suggest elimination. But there must be discussion. Extended discussion. about the implications of what your world has preserved, and what it might mean for the galaxy's future. Maya nodded slowly, realizing that humanity's introduction to galactic society was about to become far more complicated than anyone had anticipated. In preserving their ancient ocean predators, humans had unknowingly maintained something that the rest of the galaxy had thought long lost, or deliberately destroyed. The Council archives stretched beneath the surface of Europa Prime, their crystalline walls containing the accumulated knowledge of thousands of civilizations. Maya's footsteps echoed through the vast chambers as she followed the Archive Master, a being composed of living data streams that flowed through a humanoid form. Few non-council members are granted access to these records. The Archive Master's voice rippled through the air. But given Earth's unique situation, exceptions have been made. Maya had spent 3 days requesting this access, driven by the Council's bizarre reaction to Earth's sharks. Now, surrounded by the galaxy's oldest records, she felt the weight of hidden history pressing down on her. The Archive Master gestured toward a section of wall, which became transparent, revealing a chamber filled with holographic displays. These are the extinction records. Every civilization's path to sapience required choices about their evolutionary heritage. The first display activated, showing cave paintings from a dozen extinct civilizations. Maya's breath caught in her throat. Each painting, though created by wildly different species, showed the same thing. Creatures with streamlined bodies, multiple rows of teeth, and unmistakable predatory forms. Sharks, she whispered, or something very like them. The ancient hunters, the Archive Master corrected. They existed on every world that developed complex ocean life. Your Earth sharks are their last natural descendants. The displays shifted, showing a progression through various civilizations' histories. Maya noticed a pattern. At some point, each species undertook massive genetic engineering projects focused on their oceans. The timing wasn't coincidental. These programs all began after each civilization achieved spaceflight and encountered evidence of the ancient hunters. I don't understand, Maya said, studying the records. Why would every civilization eliminate their ocean predators after learning about these ancient hunters? The Archive Master's form flickered. Access to that information requires council approval. However, they paused, data streams swirling thoughtfully. I can show you the last recorded encounter. The chamber darkened, and a new hologram appeared, a massive creature gliding through ancient seas. It dwarfed the great whites Maya knew, but the shape was unmistakably similar. As she watched, the creature's eyes glowed with an inner light, and the recording abruptly ended. That recording is from the Zectal civilization, now extinct, the Archive Master said. They discovered ruins on their ocean floor, remnants of the ancient hunters. Within a year, they had eliminated every predatory species in their seas. Maya frowned. They found something in those ruins that scared them that badly. What about the other civilizations? There must be records of what they discovered. All such records are restricted, the Archive Master replied. But consider this. Every species that encountered evidence of the ancient hunters chose to fundamentally alter their own evolutionary path rather than preserve any trace of them. Every species except humans. Moving through the archives, Maya discovered more disturbing patterns. The genetic modification programs weren't just about eliminating predators. They specifically targeted species with traits similar to sharks. Electroreception, multiple rows of teeth, certain types of muscle structure. Here, she said, pointing to a data cluster. These modification programs all began after contact with the Council. Was this a requirement for membership? The Archive Master's form stilled. The Council provides guidance to emerging civilizations, helps them understand the dangers their biological heritage might pose. Maya's eyes narrowed. Did anyone ever refuse? 3 civilizations chose to preserve their ocean predators, the Archive Master replied after a long pause. Their worlds are now quarantined. The Council lists them as failed evolutionary experiments. The implication sent a chill down Maya's spine. Earth's preservation of sharks wasn't just unusual, it was considered dangerous enough to warrant planetary quarantine. But why? What had the ancient hunters done to inspire such fear across the galaxy? As she prepared to leave the archives, Maya noticed one final detail: the dates of the earliest records. The ancient hunters had vanished from the galaxy long before any current civilization achieved spaceflight. They hadn't been eliminated, they had disappeared on their own, leaving only Earth's sharks as their living legacy. And now humanity, ignorant of this cosmic history, had brought them back to the stars. Dr. Sarah Chen stood at the bow of her research vessel, the Southern Cross, watching the dawn paint South Africa's waters in shades of gold. 3 months had passed since Captain Rodriguez's startling discoveries in the Council archives, and the scientific community had been in an uproar ever since. Neural pattern detection grid online. Dr. Chen, her assistant, Tom, called from the monitoring station. "We're ready whenever Charlotte decides to show up." Charlotte was their name for the 4-meter great white they'd been studying, the same shark that had been returning to these waters with unusual regularity. Sarah checked her neural interface, a delicate web of quantum sensors that covered her scalp like a silver hairnet. Movement at bearing 047, the ship's AI announced. Signature matches Charlotte's tracking beacon. Sarah gripped the railing, her heart racing. Previous attempts to detect any form of communication between humans and sharks had yielded nothing. Yet the Council's reaction suggested something they hadn't found yet. Something they might not even be looking for correctly. The water burst into spray as Charlotte breached, her massive form catching the morning light before crashing back into the waves. Sarah's neural interface hummed to life, recording her brain's responses to the sight. But this time, something was different. For a fraction of a second, Sarah felt more. The cool rush of water against skin she didn't have. The electromagnetic pulse of fish schooling deeper below. A sense of space and movement that extended far beyond her human senses. "Tom," she shouted, steadying herself against the railing. "Tell me you got that." "Holy shit," was his only response as he stared at the readings. That's impossible." The neural interface had detected a pattern, not just in Sarah's brain, but seemingly resonating between her and Charlotte. The frequency matched something in the Council's archaeological database, traces found in ancient artifacts recovered from deep space. Sarah spent the next 4 hours in the water, protected only by a lightweight diving suit and the neural interface. Each time Charlotte passed, the connection grew stronger. It wasn't exactly communication, more like a sharing of awareness, a bridge between human consciousness and the shark's ancient hunting instincts. When she finally climbed back aboard, her hands were shaking. "Send the data to the Council liaison." All of it. The response was immediate and overwhelming. Within hours, 3 Council research vessels appeared in orbit. Some members demanded immediate access to study the phenomenon. Others called for Earth's oceans to be quarantined, citing protocols so old their original purpose had been forgotten. "You don't understand what you're dealing with," the Council's chief xenobiologist, a being of pure energy contained in a crystalline shell, told her during the emergency conference. "These neural patterns, they're not just communication. They're a bridge that should never have survived." "A bridge to what?" Sarah demanded, but she received no answer. That night, alone in her cabin, Sarah reviewed the data. The neural patterns weren't random. They showed signs of encoding, like a language written in biochemical impulses. Humans and sharks had evolved alongside each other for millions of years. Was it so impossible that some form of connection had developed? Her tablet chimed with a message from Captain Rodriguez. "Found something in the archives." The ancient hunters didn't just hunt, they bonded with other species. The Council thinks they used these bonds to change their partners. Be careful. Sarah looked out her window at the moonlit ocean. Charlotte was still out there. She could feel her now, a presence at the edge of her consciousness. The connection was growing stronger, becoming permanent in ways she didn't fully understand. Her dreams that night were filled with salt water and speed, the thrill of the hunt coursing through her veins. When she woke, she found herself understanding shark behavior in ways she never had before. It wasn't just observation anymore. She knew their thoughts, their drives, their ancient instincts. The council was right to be afraid, she realized, but not of the sharks themselves. What terrified them was the possibility that humans might achieve what the ancient hunters had, a true symbiosis between species, a merger of consciousness and instinct that could change both partners forever. And deep in Earth's oceans, that process had already begun. The emergency council session began without the usual protocols or ceremony. Maya stood beside Dr. Chen as the main display activated, showing live footage from the ocean world Hydra 9. Even through the quantum feed, the horror was unmistakable. The once crystal waters had turned black, churning with billions of microscopic organisms that devoured everything in their path. Schools of native fish disappeared into the darkness, reduced to bones in seconds. Even the massive crystalline coral formations, the pride of Hydra 9's civilization, dissolved under the parasite's assault. They adapt to every countermeasure. The Hydran representative's voice crackled with distress. Chemical weapons, energy fields, even targeted viruses, they evolve past them within hours. We've lost 3 continental seas already. Sarah leaned forward, studying the parasite's movement patterns. They flowed like liquid shadow, but there was something familiar in their coordination. They're hunting like sharks, she whispered to Maya. Like ancient hunters, but corrupted, acting as a hive mind instead of individual predators. The displays shifted to another world, Aquarius Prime. 5 billion sentient beings called its waters home. The evacuation ships were launching, but everyone knew they wouldn't be fast enough. The parasites had already been detected in the planet's deepest trenches. The infection spreads between worlds through dimensional microtears. The Council's chief physicist explained, "Our barriers can't contain them. They appear in random locations, bypassing all our defenses." Maya watched Sarah's expression change as new data scrolled across their screens. The parasites weren't just consuming biomass. They were searching through it, analyzing genetic patterns before moving on. "They're looking for something," Sarah said, her voice carrying across the chamber. Heads turned, appendages twitched. "These aren't random attacks. Look at the molecular scan data. They're searching through genetic information before breaking down the biomass." The high speaker's colors shifted rapidly. "Explain." "The parasites are targeting specific genetic sequences," Sarah continued, bringing up comparison charts. "They're most aggressive toward species that show traces of ancient hunter DNA modifications, the same modifications every council race used to eliminate their ocean predators." A murmur ran through the chamber. Maya saw fear in the council members' reactions, but also something else. Recognition. They knew something about these parasites, something they hadn't shared. "There's more," Sarah added, her hand unconsciously touching the neural interface she still wore. "The hunting patterns aren't just similar to sharks. They're an exact match for ancient hunter hunting strategies, but twisted, corrupted. Like someone took their perfect predator instincts and weaponized them." "Impossible," the chief physicist interrupted. "The ancient hunters vanished millions of years ago. These parasites are a new phenomenon." "Are they?" Maya asked, thinking of the restricted archives. "Or have they just been dormant, waiting for something to wake them up?" The chamber erupted in overlapping arguments, but Maya watched the high speaker's reaction. Their colors had shifted to a frequency she'd never seen before, one that registered as deep threat response in their species. A new alert flashed across the displays. The parasites had breached Aquarius Prime's final barriers. The evacuation wasn't complete. Billions would die. "They can't be stopped by technology," Sarah said quietly, but her voice cut through the chaos. "Because they're not just parasites. They're what happens when you try to engineer away millions of years of evolutionary balance. Every world that eliminated their natural predators created a vacuum. Nature abhors a vacuum. Maya felt a chill as she realized what Sarah was suggesting. The Council's ancient fear of the ancient hunters had led them to eliminate ocean predators across the galaxy. And now something worse had evolved to fill that ecological niche, something that combined the hunting instincts of the ancient hunters with the adaptability of a virus. As they watched Aquarius Prime's oceans turn black, Maya remembered what they'd learned about Earth's sharks. They weren't just survivors, they were an unbroken line of natural evolution, predators that had maintained their role in Earth's ecosystems for hundreds of millions of years. And perhaps, though nobody in the council chamber wanted to admit it, they were the only thing standing between the galaxy and the darkness spreading through its seas. The council chambers had been converted into a war room, holographic displays showing the parasites' advance across 17 ocean worlds. Sarah stood before the assembled representatives, her heart pounding. What she was about to propose would either save the galaxy or get Earth permanently quarantined. The neural link isn't just communication, she began, bringing up her latest data. It's a bridge between human consciousness and shark hunting instincts, a natural version of what the ancient hunters achieved artificially. The chamber's displays showed her neural patterns, synchronizing with Charlotte's during their last session. The connection had grown stronger, more stable. She could feel the Great White's presence even now, thousands of light years away in Earth's oceans. Impossible, the chief xenobiologist interrupted. Such bonds take millions of years to develop. Exactly, Sarah replied. Humans and sharks have evolved together for over 400 million years. We're the only species that kept our ocean predators long enough for this connection to form naturally. She took a deep breath and activated the final display, footage of herself swimming unprotected with Charlotte. The council erupted in chaos as they watched the Great White respond to her unspoken commands, moving in perfect synchronization. The parasites hunt like corrupted ancient hunters because that's what they are, a weapon left behind, programmed to target species that eliminated their ocean predators. But Earth's sharks retained their pure hunting patterns, and humans, she paused, meeting the High Speaker's gaze. We evolved alongside them long enough to develop a symbiotic psychic capacity. Maya stepped forward, adding her voice to Sarah's plea. We propose Project Megalodon, human-shark combat pairs, using our natural neural connection to fight the parasites. Perfect predator instincts guided by human intelligence. The chamber fell silent. The High Speaker's colors shifted through complex patterns as they processed the implications. You would bond your people to these creatures. The risk of permanent psychological alteration. Already happening. Sarah interrupted, touching her neural interface. My connection with Charlotte grows stronger each day. I dream in shark senses, hunt in shark instincts. But I remain human, and she remains a shark. We've achieved naturally what the ancient hunters tried to force artificially. The displays updated with new casualty reports from the infected worlds. Time was running out. We've identified 50 compatible human-shark pairs, Maya announced. All volunteers, all showing strong neural resonance patterns. Dr. Chen will lead the first team. And if the connection becomes permanent, the chief xenobiologist demanded, if your people begin to change. Sarah met their gaze steadily. Then we'll have evolved together, just as we have for millions of years. Natural adaptation, not engineered extinction. The High Speaker conferred with their advisors in frequencies too high for human hearing. Finally, they turned back to the chamber. The Council accepts Project Megalodon, with conditions. All operations will be monitored. Any sign of unnatural mutation or loss of human consciousness will result in immediate termination of the project. Sarah nodded, feeling Charlotte's predatory satisfaction echo through their link. The Great White understood more than the Council suspected, understood that this partnership was the next step in their shared evolution. As the chamber emptied, Maya caught Sarah's arm. You didn't tell them everything, did you? About what happens during the neural link. Sarah touched her interface again, remembering the rush of ancient memories that sometimes surfaced during deep connections, genetic memories passed down through millions of years of shark evolution. Memories of the ancient hunters, of bonds formed and broken, of a war that had reshaped the galaxy's oceans. "They're not ready for everything," she replied quietly. "But they're right to be concerned. This isn't just about fighting parasites. We're about to rediscover something the galaxy tried very hard to forget." The neural interface hummed as Charlotte, sensing her thoughts from across space, responded with a surge of hunting instinct. The connection between human and shark was growing stronger, deeper, awakening capabilities that had lain dormant in both species for millions of years. Project Megalodon would save the galaxy's oceans, but it would also change humanity forever, in ways even Sarah couldn't fully predict. The ocean moon Kepler-4b roiled with bioluminescent waves, its native life creating brilliant patterns in the deep blue waters. Sarah floated in the deployment pod with Charlotte, their neural link humming with shared anticipation. 49 other pods hung suspended around them, each containing a human-shark pair about to make history. Neural synchronization at 97%, the AI announced. Parasite swarm approaching from Vector 210. Sarah closed her eyes, letting her consciousness merge with Charlotte's. The great white's senses became her own. The electromagnetic pulses of nearby life forms, the subtle temperature variations in the currents, the three-dimensional awareness that humans could never naturally achieve. "Project Megalodon, you are clear to deploy." Maya's voice came through the comm. "Remember, we just need to confirm the sharks can detect and engage the parasites. No unnecessary risks." The pods opened, releasing their occupants into Kepler-4b's alien sea. Charlotte moved with fluid grace, Sarah positioning herself along the shark's dorsal fin in the position they'd practiced. Through their link, she could feel Charlotte processing the new environment, adapting to the slightly different water density and electromagnetic fields. Then they sensed it, a void in the ocean's natural electrical field, moving closer. The parasite swarm appeared as a wall of darkness, consuming everything in its path. "All pairs, hunting formation Delta," Sarah commanded, channeling Charlotte's predatory focus. The other human shark teams fell into position, moving with unnatural coordination as shared consciousness guided ancient instinct. The parasites reacted to their presence, the swarm splitting and reforming with disturbing intelligence. But Charlotte had already anticipated the movement, her genetic memory recognizing patterns that even the Council's best computers had missed. "They're not just hunting," Sarah transmitted to Maya as the battle began. "They're searching. Each attack pattern is a test, analyzing our responses." Through the neural link, she felt Charlotte's recognition. The parasites moved like corrupted ancient hunters, because that's exactly what they were, weapons programmed to seek out specific genetic sequences. The first clash was devastating. Charlotte tore through the parasite swarm, her electromagnetic sense allowing her to track them even when they tried to dimensionally shift. Other shark-human pairs followed, their combined hunting strategies creating patterns the parasites couldn't adapt to because they weren't based on technology or programming, but on millions of years of natural evolution. But the parasites were learning, combining into larger structures, trying to overwhelm the shark's natural defenses. Sarah felt Charlotte's frustration through their link. These weren't natural prey, and their behavior violated ancient hunting laws encoded in shark DNA. "Sarah." Tom's voice cut through her communion with Charlotte. "We're detecting massive energy buildups in the parasite swarm. They're trying to force a dimensional tear." The water around them began to vibrate as the parasites gathered their strength. Sarah felt Charlotte's muscles tense, preparing for a new kind of hunt. Through their link, ancient memories surfaced, genetic knowledge passed down from the time of the ancient hunters. "They're not trying to escape," Sarah realized, the truth flowing through her connection with Charlotte. "They're trying to call reinforcements. These aren't random attacks. They're coordinated searches across multiple dimensions." The parasites weren't just seeking to consume. They were looking for something specific in the genetic memory of the worlds they devoured. something connected to the ancient hunter's disappearance. Charlotte surged forward without warning, her predatory instincts overwhelming Sarah's human caution. Their consciousness merged completely as they crashed into the center of the parasite swarm, disrupting the dimensional energy buildup. Other shark-human pairs followed, their combined assault driving the parasites into retreat. But in that moment of complete neural synchronization, Sarah glimpsed something through Charlotte's genetic memory, a truth about the ancient hunters that the Council had tried to erase from history. The parasites weren't weapons left behind by the hunters. They were hunting for the hunters themselves, searching for genetic traces of their lost masters across dimensions. As the waters cleared and the first battle ended in victory, Sarah knew they'd discovered something far more significant than a defense against the parasites. They'd stumbled upon the first clue to the galaxy's greatest mystery. What had really happened to the ancient hunters, and why had they vanished just as their power reached its peak? The observation deck of the Council's flagship provided a panoramic view of Kepler-4b's luminescent oceans. Sarah watched a tiger shark patrol glide past, their human partners maintaining perfect neural synchronization. After 3 weeks of combat, Project Megalodon had revealed capabilities that no one had predicted. There, Sarah pointed to a seemingly empty patch of water. Through her enhanced connection with Charlotte, she could sense the dimensional distortion forming. The Tiger Shark team just detected a parasite cluster trying to slip through reality's cracks. The Council's chief scientist, a crystalline being named Varric, monitored the readings with growing amazement. Impossible. Our most advanced sensors can't detect dimensional shifts at that scale. How are they doing it? Because they've always been able to, Sarah replied, touching her neural interface. Sharks didn't just evolve electroreception to hunt prey. They evolved it to counter the ancient hunters' dimensional abilities. Every time the hunters developed new hunting methods, Earth's sharks adapted. The capacity was there all along, dormant in their genetic memory. Through the viewport, they watched the tiger shark team intercept the parasites before they could complete their dimensional shift. Each shark species brought different hunting strategies to the fight. Great whites for pure power, tigers for stealth, makos for speed, hammerheads for sensory detection. The parasites couldn't adapt because they were facing natural evolution's answer to their artificial programming. The Council was wrong, Maya said, joining them at the viewport. Engineering away ocean predators didn't make worlds safer. It created an evolutionary vacuum that these parasites evolved to fill. Earth's sharks maintained the natural balance. Sarah's neural link hummed as Charlotte detected something new. The parasites are changing tactics. Instead of brute force dimensional tiers, they're trying to create micro-shifts, looking for gaps in our coverage. But the sharks were already adapting, their hunting patterns shifting to counter the new threat. Through their human partners, they could now coordinate these adaptations across species, combining millions of years of evolutionary expertise with strategic thinking. There's something else, Sarah added, hesitating. Through Charlotte's genetic memory, she'd been piecing together fragments of ancient history. The parasites aren't just weapons. They're searching for something specific, genetic traces of the ancient hunters themselves. Varric's crystalline form flickered with alarm. That information is restricted by Council order. How did you? We didn't need your records, Maya interrupted. The sharks, remember. Their ancestors fought the ancient hunters, adapted to their methods, and eventually learned from them. That's why the neural link works. Earth's sharks didn't just survive the hunters. They inherited their abilities through natural evolution. The observation deck fell silent as they watched another parasite swarm attempt to breach Kepler-4b's defenses. The shark teams moved with impossible precision, their human partners guiding ancient hunting instincts with tactical awareness that grew sharper each day. The ancient hunters tried to force evolution, Sarah said quietly, feeling Charlotte's ancestral memories surface through their link. They used artificial means to bond with other species, to spread their consciousness across the galaxy. But Earth's sharks achieved naturally what the hunters couldn't create artificially. true symbiosis with another species. Varek processed this information, their crystalline structure pulsing with rapid calculations. And now humanity has achieved the same symbiosis, but through millions of years of parallel evolution rather than genetic engineering. That's why the parasites are so focused on worlds that eliminated their predators, Maya realized. They're searching genetic records for traces of the hunter's artificial bonding process, but they can't adapt to our sharks because we're using natural evolution against artificial programming. Sarah finished. Every shark species developed different countermeasures to the hunter's abilities. By combining those natural adaptations with human consciousness, we've created something the parasites can't overcome because it's not based on programming or engineering. It's based on 400 million years of evolutionary memory. Outside the viewport, Charlotte led a new hunting formation, coordinating multiple shark species in patterns that grew more sophisticated with each engagement. The parasites were being driven back not by technology or weapons, but by the very evolutionary process they had been programmed to subvert. In trying to engineer away their fears, the council races had made themselves vulnerable. Earth's dangerous oceans had preserved the only natural defense against a threat that had waited millions of years to re-emerge. The council chambers had changed in the 6 months since Project Megalodon began. Holographic sharks now swam through the air between the pillars, their movements tracked and studied by representatives from 1,000 worlds. In the center of it all, Sarah stood with Charlotte's consciousness humming through their neural link, presenting the final results of their victory. The parasites haven't attempted dimensional incursion in 42 days, she reported, her voice carrying the deep resonance that all human partners had developed through their shark bonds. The last surviving swarms have retreated to the void between realities. They recognize Earth's sharks as apex predators, superior to their corrupted ancient hunter programming. Maya stepped forward, adding her diplomatic expertise to Sarah's scientific findings. But this isn't just about defense. Every world that hosts transplanted shark populations has shown remarkable ecosystem recovery. Natural predation patterns are restoring balances that artificial engineering destroyed. The high speaker's colors shifted through thoughtful patterns, and the human-shark neural links. The council remains concerned about the permanent changes to your species. Sarah smiled, feeling Charlotte's amusement ripple through their connection. The changes were inevitable and natural. Humans and sharks evolved together for millions of years. The neural link just awakened capabilities that were always there, dormant in both species' DNA. The chamber's displays showed footage from ocean worlds across the galaxy. Sharks from Earth's various species, each partnered with trained human consciousness, patrolling alien seas. The parasites had taught them all a harsh lesson about the price of engineering away evolution's gifts. We propose establishing Earth as the center for evolutionary defense research, Maya announced. Our oceans preserve what the rest of the galaxy tried to eliminate. Now it's time to restore that natural balance. The council deliberated in frequencies beyond human hearing, but Sarah could sense their shift in perspective through Charlotte's enhanced awareness. Fear of ocean predators had driven the galaxy's civilizations to dangerous extremes. Earth's preservation of sharks had saved them all. The council accepts, the high speaker announced. Earth's status is hereby elevated to protected origin world, the source of essential evolutionary sequences. All shark species are classified as cornerstone species of galactic importance. Sarah felt a surge of pride through her link with Charlotte. Humanity's role as shepherds of Earth's apex predators had earned them not just acceptance, but leadership in the galactic community. Not through technology or force, but through their unique choice to preserve and learn from their world's most perfect predators. There's more, Sarah added, bringing up new data streams. The genetic memories we've accessed through the shark links. They tell a different story about the ancient hunters. They didn't vanish. They evolved. Some of their genetic traces survive in Earth's sharks, not as weapons or tools, but as naturally inherited adaptations. The chamber erupted in excited discussion as the implications became clear. Earth's sharks hadn't just survived the ancient hunters, They had incorporated the best of their abilities through natural selection, creating perfect predators that maintained ecosystem balance rather than destroying it. The parasites were searching for artificial genetic modifications, Maya explained. They never recognized the natural evolution of hunter abilities in Earth's sharks because they were programmed to seek engineering, not adaptation. As the council session concluded, Sarah stood at the chamber's edge, watching the holographic sharks swim through alien constellations. Charlotte's consciousness merged with hers, sharing the deep contentment of a successful hunt. They had discovered something the ancient hunters never understood. True power came not from forcing evolution, but from allowing it to find its own path. Earth's dangerous oceans had preserved that truth for millions of years, waiting for humanity to evolve enough to understand it. The galaxy would never be the same. Council worlds were already establishing shark sanctuaries, researching natural predation patterns, and studying the delicate balances their ancestors had tried to engineer away. Human-shark pairs would guard the dimensional boundaries, their naturally evolved bonds proving stronger than any artificial weapon. And in Earth's oceans, new generations of sharks and humans would continue their parallel evolution, their shared history now recognized as one of the galaxy's most precious resources, not as weapons or tools, but as living proof that nature's path, though often dangerous, led to strengths that no engineering could match. The age of artificial safety was over. The time of natural balance had begun.